Hello students. Today we are starting 11th class chapter 1 physical world. So in this chapter the introduction about the physics is given and what is science, what is the importance of physics in science, that everything has been explained in that chapter. So let us say we are discussing the NCERT text. What is physics? So humans are always curious about the world around them. Okay, they have seen seasons, they have seen eclipses, they have seen tides, volcanoes, and rainbows, many things which they could not explain uh, with the help of that knowledge prevailing at the time. So they were very curious and they wanted to know the reasons about that. So human mind is an inquiring and imaginative mind. It is very inquiring and imaginative mind, and we are observing each and everything around us. We are observing our physical environment. So what we do, we look for the meaningful pattern and relation in the natural phenomena. We look for the meaningful patterns and relations in natural phenomena to study the phenomena. Then we build and use new tools to interact with the nature. Suppose we want to control the rain. Okay, so scientists are still struggling to control the rain, but in some parts they have developed technology. With the help of that they can get rain whenever they want, but it is a natural phenomena, it occurs randomly, it is not in our hands, but artificial rain can be done. So let us see what is science. So the science world, and in Hindi it is known as Vigyan, and Urdu Arabic it is known as Ilm. These are having the same meaning. Science means to know anything. Okay. So in the 16th century, there were many discoveries in science and great strides have been taken in the development of the science in the Europe. Industrial revolutions have begun and many things started. Machines were made. So by the middle of the 20th century, science has a rapid growth. So what is science and what is so-called scientific method? So in science, we have a scientific method. What is scientific method? Scientific method is a systematic attempt to understand natural phenomena in as much detail and depth as possible and use that knowledge so gain to predict, modify, and control the phenomena. So first of all, this is a systematic attempt. Systematic attempt, we will understand later on what is that systematic attempt. We are trying to understand the natural phenomena. For example, we take motion. Suppose a car is moving, we will try to understand how it is moving. Okay, so we will do systematic attempt to understand the motion. Then we will try to control the motion. Now, can you control the motion of a car? Car is turning, car is stopping, car is speeding, speed control. So you are controlling the motion of a car with the help of your knowledge gained. Okay, so we use the knowledge to gain to predict, modify, and control the phenomena. So we are controlling the motion of the car with the help of our knowledge. So what we have done the systematic attempt to understand the natural phenomena of motion of the car. Now, science is what? Science is exploring, experimenting, and predicting from what we see around us. हमारे चारों तरफ जो दिखाई देता है उसकी स्टडी करते हैं, उसको एक्सप्लोर करते हैं और डिफरेंट एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करते हैं, एंड देन वी कम टू द प्रेडिक्शन कि भाई ऐसा इसलिए होता है. Now, systematic attempt. Science have a systematic attempt, systematic method. What is that method? what are the steps? The scientific method involves several steps. First is systematic observation. First of all, you have to see the, suppose we are taking the example motion, then we have to observe the motion carefully. Then controlled experiments will be done. Controlled experiments, you define a origin. You define an origin from where the observation will be taken. You should have a clock and everything to control the, to observe the taking observations. Okay, so various types of experiment you design and then do those experiments. Then it's qualitative and quantitative reasoning will be done. On the basis of the observations taken in the experiments, we will do the reasoning. Then we will formulate formula for by the help of mathematical modeling method. We can verify also whether this thing is true or not, whether the experimental verification is okay or not. Can we predict anything from that or not? And we can also do falsification of theories. We can do also a speculation and conjecture. These are the many steps involved in the scientific method. And if that scientific method is taken into account and we come to the conclusion, then that conclusion will be acceptable to the scientific community. Okay. So a scientific theory to be acceptable must be verified by the relevant observations. So observation must be relevant and the scientific theory must be to be acceptable. A scientific theory must be verified by the relevant observations. Okay. You can take the example of the corona. Okay. So in corona, you are observing many things. Okay. And you will take many experiments, you will do many experiments, and then you will come to know whether the testing method is relevant or not, whether it is 100% accurate or 70% accurate. Okay, then you will come to conclusion whether the person which will be tested will be positive or negative, or what will be the probability. Okay. Now the interplay of theory and observation takes place at every time. Theory, there is a theory and observations or experiment. This interplay of theory and observation is basic to the progress of science. For the scientific progress, this interplay must happen between theory and observation. And there is no final theory in the science. There is no final theory in the science, as the theory has been given that Newtonian mechanics is perfect. Okay, Newtonian mechanics is perfect, and nothing wrong with that. But when we go to the microscopic world and we take the particle physics, and we came to know about the Einstein's photoelectric effect, then we come to conclusion that Newtonian mechanics cannot explain each and everything. So the quantum mechanics has developed. So theory of the physics which was given by the Newton and other scientists at the time was challenged by the Einstein, and quantum mechanics came into existence. Okay, so there is no unquestioned authority among scientists, and there is no final theory in science. Anytime it can be changed on the basis of the observations. Okay. Now, interplay of theory and observation. Theory says, let us see the observation. In the case of sunrise, observation says that sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Okay. So a theory was made that the sun is revolving around the earth. Sun is moving, but the earth is not moving. After some time, that theory was refuted. And we all know that in the solar system, sun is at the center and the earth is revolving around that. But what your observation says another thing. But the fact is that the sun is at the center of the solar system and earth is revolving around it. Okay. So this interplay of theory and observation goes on in the science. Now, on the basis of the theory and observation, sometimes the modifications are done in the existing theories, and these modifications are not very much drastic. For example, John Kepler on the base examined the extensive data on the planetary motion collected by the Tycho Brahe. His Guruji was Tycho Brahe. John Kepler examined the extensive data on the planetary motion, and on the basis of that, he came with the Kepler's third law of motion. And he also told us that the orbits around the sun is elliptic, not the circular. Okay. Heliocentric theory is that sun is at the center of the solar system. Okay. Imagined by the Nicolaus Copernicus. That was imagined by the Nicolaus Copernicus, heliocentric theory. And John Kepler came to the conclusion that the orbit of the planets moving around the sun are not circular, they are elliptical. Okay. So the existing theory was that the orbits are circular, so it has to be modified. It has to be replaced by elliptical orbits to fit the data better. The new theory was explained with the help of the ellipse. Okay. Now, occasionally what happens, existing theory is simply unable to explain new observations. New observations we are taking, we come to know that the existing theory is unable to explain. For example, Newtonian mechanics. Till then, a very successful theory could not explain some of the most basic features of the atomic phenomena. So atomic phenomena, nuclear phenomena, particle phenomena was not explained, was not able to be explained with the help of Newtonian mechanics. Okay. So wave picture of light failed to explain the photoelectric effect invented by the Einstein. So the quantum mechanics has to develop a new type of mechanics which take into account the particles, very small particle and bigger particles as it is. So Newtonian mechanics is inside the quantum mechanics. The quantum mechanics does not refute the Newtonian mechanics, but Newtonian mechanics, problems of Newtonian mechanics are also solved, and problem of very small particles are also solved in the quantum mechanics. So this is a new type of mechanics. It is a more generalized theory of the mechanics. Now, new experiments sometimes suggest an alternative theoretical model, or it may otherwise, a theoretical advance may suggest what to look for in certain experiments. So a new experiment may suggest an alternative theoretical model. For example, Rutherford has done the gold foil experiment, alpha particle bombardment on the gold foil experiment, and came with the nuclear model of the atom. Okay. So he suggested this model that nucleus at the center of the atom and electrons are revolving around that. So which becomes the basis of the quantum theory of the hydrogen atom given by the Niels Bohr. So Niels Bohr has given a theoretical model based on the experiment suggested by the Rutherford. So this was a new experiment. Alpha particle experiment was a new experiment which proved that the whole of the mass of the atom is concentrated at the center at the nucleus, and electrons, very lightweight, are revolving around the nucleus. So Rutherford experiment has been used as a theoretical model in the future by the Niels Bohr when he presented the hydrogen atom model. Okay. Now, theoretical advance may suggest what to look for in some experiments. For that, we can understand an example that the concept of antiparticle was first introduced theoretically by Paul Dirac. He was a scientist who introduced the concept of antiparticle. So this was a theory. So this theoretical advance, it must suggest what to look for in some experiments. So years later, experimental discovery of the positron by Carl Anderson has taken place. Carl Anderson, on the basis of that theory, developed anti-electron, means positron. He discovered this not by the experiment, but by the theory. Now, physics is a basic discipline of the natural sciences. There are two principal thrusts in the physics, unification and reduction. So we will understand these words one by one. What is unification? What is unification? We will understand this. Attempt to explain diverse physical phenomena in terms of a few concepts and laws. This is unification. For example, same laws of the gravitation given by the Newton describes the fall of an apple to the ground, the motion of the moon around the earth, and the motion of the planets around the sun. All these phenomena are governed by the same law of gravitation. So it is an example of unification. Similarly, law of the electromagnetism, Maxwell's equations, okay, govern all the electric and magnetic phenomena. All the electric and magnetic phenomena are governed by the Maxwell's equation. So this is an example of unification. Okay. Later on in this chapter, we will understand about the fundamental forces of nature. Okay. And we will come to know that the unification is being done in that also. Later on, we will see the section 1.4 of this book. Now, to derive the properties of a bigger and more complex system from the properties and interaction of its constituent simpler parts. This is known as reductionism. This approach is reductionism. Reduction is what? To derive the properties of a bigger or more complex system from the constituent simpler parts. For example, let us understand it. Thermodynamics. Thermodynamics which was developed for the bulk systems in terms of macroscopic quantity that such as temperature, internal energy, entropy, pressure. These are the macroscopic quantities. Okay, what are the microscopic and macroscopic quantities? Let us understand with an example of the pressure. So in a container, if a gas is there, it exerts a pressure. So from where this pressure comes? The pressure comes due to the change in the momentum. The particles or the atoms or molecules of the gas are colliding with the walls of the container and they are transferring momentum to the walls of the container. Change in momentum is there. Change in momentum of the particle is there. And change in momentum is there. That means force is there. If the force is there, the pressure is there. So the particles, molecules or atoms which are colliding with the walls causes pressure. Okay, so microscopic quantity is the particle, atoms or molecules, and macroscopic quantity is the pressure. So now you understand what is the difference between the macroscopic and microscopic quantities. So thermodynamics that deals with the bulk system in terms of the macroscopic quantities such as temperature, pressure, internal energy, and entropy. The kinetic theory of gases and statistical mechanics interpreted these quantities in terms of the properties of the molecular constituents of the bulk system. Means what we study in the kinetic theory of gases, we study in the kinetic theory of gases that RMS speeds of the molecules or atoms. We study about the atoms and molecules and their velocities, their average velocities, and then we come to the knowledge that this makes the pressure, and this causes the temperature also, this causes the kinetic energy change also, and this causes the internal energy and entropy changes also. So with the help of kinetic theory of gas, we in the microscopic terms, we study the kinetic theory of gases, then we come to know about the macroscopic quantities like temperature, internal energy, and entropy in thermodynamics. This is what reductionism. This is an example of reductionism. So temperature is what? Temperature is seen to be related to the average kinetic energy of the molecules of the system. This is temperature. Temperature is the result of the change in the average kinetic energy of the molecules of the system. Okay. And pressure is due to the momentum of the particles, okay, inside the container. Now let us see what is the scope and the excitement of the physics. What are the sub-disciplines of physics? There are two domains of interest, macroscopic and microscopic. Now both of these have been explained by me just now. Okay, macroscopic and microscopic. So sub-disciplines of physics are classical physics deals with mainly the macroscopic phenomena. Classical physics is that physics which was based on the Newtonian mechanics. Okay. Quantum physics was not developed till then. Then the physics was known as the classical physics. So it deals with the macroscopic phenomena. And what are the subjects taught in the classical physics? These were mechanics, electrodynamics, optics, and thermodynamics. What is mechanics? Mechanics founded on the Newton's law of motion and the laws of gravitation, and is concerned with the motion or equilibrium of the particle, rigid and deformable bodies, and general system of particles. This is mechanics. Okay. So what will be studied in the mechanics? In the mechanics, propulsion of the rocket, propagation of the water waves or the sound waves in air, equilibrium of a bent rod under a load. These are the some of the problems which can be studied in the mechanics portion. What is electrodynamics? As the name suggests, electrodynamics. Electrodynamics deals with the electric and magnetic phenomena associated with the charged and magnetic bodies. Okay. Electrodynamics means electron dynamics. Okay. When the electron is moving, that means electron is having a charge, the charge is moving. So what happens? So electrodynamics has the study of the charged and magnetic bodies, movement and their after effects. So what are the basic laws invented in that? Coulomb's law, Oersted law have been discussed, have been invented in the electrodynamics. Okay. Ampere's law, Faraday's law, and Maxwell's equation. These are the names of the scientists. Coulomb was a scientist, Oersted was a scientist, Ampere, Faraday was a scientist, and Maxwell was a scientist. Maxwell mathematically collected the works of all the scientists, Coulomb, Oersted, Ampere, and Faraday, and summed up in his equations, Maxwell's equation, famous set of equations, Maxwell equations. Okay. The motion of a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. What happens when the motion takes place of a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field? A force acts on that. Okay. The response of a circuit to an AC voltage. There is a circuit and it is having resistance, capacitance, and inductance elements. What is the effect of the voltage signal on that? That we will study in the electrodynamics. Working of the antenna, propagation of radio waves in the ionosphere. These things are the problems of the electrodynamics. What do we study in the optics? Let us see. Optics deals with the phenomena involving light. Working of the telescope, working of the human eye, microscopes, different colors exhibited by the thin films. These are the topics in the optics. Okay, in 12th standard we will be studying the chapter optics. Now thermodynamics, what do we study in thermodynamics? Thermodynamics, it does not deal with the motion of the bodies as a whole. It deals the system as a macroscopic equilibrium. It deals systems in macroscopic equilibrium. For example, a gas in the container is in macroscopic equilibrium. Okay. So what is changed in that container? If we apply pressure on that container, then internal energy will change, temperature will change, entropy will change. Okay. So change of the internal energy, temperature, entropy, and other things of the system through the external work done on the system and the transfer of heat from the system and into the system. Transfer of heat takes place, means heat is exchanged, and when the work is done. The work and heat exchange we study in the thermodynamics. What the machines we study in the thermodynamics? In thermodynamics we study mainly heat engines and refrigerators with the help of kinetic theory of gases and the established law of thermodynamics. See, the scope of the physics is very vast. Scope of the physics is very vast. It covers the whole of the universe. So let us see about the ranges. If we see about the ranges in length, how much length can be measured by the various methods? So length 10 to the power minus 14 meter or even less means involving electrons, protons, the size of the particles. From this length, at the other end, astronomical phenomena, let's suppose uh, scale of the galaxies or the universe. What is the length of the universe? Length of the universe has order of 10 to the power plus 26 meter. So from 10 to the power minus 14 meter or even less, we can measure up to 10 to the power 26 meter. So what is the range? Divide 10 to the power 26 divided by 10 to the power minus 40. It comes out to be 10 to the power 40 meter. So this is the range of the lengths. Very smaller length and very bigger length. What is the difference? 10 to the power 40 meter. So the range of the time scale, what is the minimum time and what is the maximum time which we can measure in the physics? So we can divide by the speed of light, these two things. Divide by the speed of light, here you divide by the speed of light 10 to 10 to the power 8, and then you will find that the range of the time scale is from 10 to the power minus 22 second to 10 to the power 18 second. Okay, that also comes out to be, what is the range? 10 to the power 18 divided by 10 to the power minus 20, 10 to the power 40. Again 10 to the power 40 factor comes. Okay. And what about the mass scale? From 10 to the power minus 30 kg, very small mass of an electron, to 10 to the power 55 kg. What is that? This is mass of the observable universe. So this much is the range of the mass. Okay. So a large range is there. If we take length, time or mass scales, a large scope is there for the physics. Okay. So physics is very exciting actually, you see. It is elegant and there is a universality of its basic theories, and we can imagine new experiments to unlock the secrets of the nature, to verify or refute the existing theories. That is very thrilling. Okay. If you refute the existing theory, suppose you refute the theory of certain scientists and your name comes in paper, you become a scientist of world known repute. Okay, that is very thrilling. What is applied physics actually? So applied physics, as the name suggests, is the physics applied. Okay, so all the engineering branches, civil, electrical, mechanical, electronics, computer, whatever these branches are there in the engineering discipline. What they study applied physics. They apply the physics which we have studied up to 12th standard. Okay, then higher physics is also there. So there is a phenomenal progress in the physics in the last few centuries. Okay. Now these discoveries, these phenomenal progress in the physics in the last few centuries, that they have changed our basic perception. Okay, and we say that the great progress has been done in this arena. Okay, so in physics, only qualitative thinking is not suffice. Quantitative measurement is also necessary. So qualitative thinking is there after the experiments. Qualitative thinking is there. Observation and experiments. Qualitative thinking will be there, and the quantitative measurements properly will be taken. Then there will be growth in the science, especially physics. Okay. Otherwise, the conclusions will be wrong. And most important thing is that laws of the nature happen to be expressible in precise mathematical equations. That means physical laws of nature. Physical laws of nature found to be expressed in the precise mathematical equation. That is very, very surprising. That means this world can be expressed by the mathematical equations. This world can be expressed by the mathematical equation, certain precise mathematical equation. Any physical phenomena can be expressed precise mathematical equation. That is the beauty of the physics. Now, the second most important insight was that the basic laws of physics are universal. Whatever the physics invented in the last few centuries, the basic laws, they prove to be universal. The same laws apply in widely different contexts in different subjects. And whenever we observe a phenomena in daily life, these are that is not found to be different phenomena. That phenomena was related to already existing, already known theories. Means most observed phenomena in our daily life are rather complicated manifestations of the basic laws. Okay. Now let us see what is a good strategy for scientists. Good strategy is that first focus on the essential features. Suppose we in daily life we have seen certain phenomena, then focus first on the essential features and discover the basic principle underlying. What is the basic principle which is underlying in that phenomena? And then introduce corrections to build a more refined theory of that phenomena. And then you can refine the existing theory to explain that phenomena. Scientists go this way. Okay. Suppose a new phenomena is observed with which the previous theories are not able to explain, then new corrections are to be made in that. Okay. For example, a stone and a feather are dropped from the same height. They do not reach the ground at the same time. But by proper reasoning and by proper experimentation, we come to know that basic law of gravitation works for both. Okay. And if we do the experiments in an evacuated chamber, means there is no air, then both will reach the ground at the same time. Both will take the same time. The feather is not reaching the ground because of the air resistance. Okay. So basic law क्या है? What is the basic law? Basic law comes to be, basic law is that acceleration due to gravity g is independent of the mass of the object. Acceleration due to gravity g is independent 9.8 meter per second square. that is independent of the mass of object. So that acceleration both are having, the iron piece, stone, and the feather both. Okay, so basic law has been invented. With the help with the basic law thus found, we can go back to the feather and introduce corrections due to air resistance. So if we introduce correction due to air resistance, then we can say that the theory, uh, we have refined the theory because we have introduced the air resistance correction in that. Okay, so we modify the theory according to that. Now, physics, technology, and society. So let us take the topic in our next lecture. Okay, this is the first part of the lecture, and we will finish that lecture here and now. Okay, in the next part we will take up this physics, technology, and society and other topics in this chapter. Okay, thank you.